point. So point has a location, but it does not have any dimension. So kind of let's go over this in terms of Cartesian coordinates. So when we talk about Cartesian coordinates, it's just based upon why it's called Cartesian. It's because the person who kind of came up with all of this. So when we have Cartesian coordinates, we have the x-axis, right? And then we have the y-axis. Now, this means that we have essentially two lines that intersect, and it intersects right here. We're going to call this, or it is called the origin. So the origin is 0, 0. So that's the location. So the location of the origin is 0, 0. So it means on the x, when we say this, we're looking at x and the y. So it kind of tells us the location of where it is on the x-axis, and it tells us where it is on the y-axis. So that's how it is. So you have these parentheses, x, comma, y, whatever those numbers are. Now, when we go back to our coordinate system right here, now, when we go to the right of from the origin, right, this is going to be positive. And anytime we go up from the origin on the y-axis, that's also positive. But if we go to the left or down, that's negative. This is going negative, this is going positive, and this is also going positive. So if we go to the right or up, that's positive. This is positive x. This would be a positive y. If we're anywhere above it, right? It could be over here, but that would be a positive y value, even though it's a negative x value. So there's that. So example 1. So we're going to plot the following. So we have all these different points that we're going to plot. So for this, we're going to plot A, which is -2 and -3. So remember that this is x and y. So if x is equal to -2, here's our x-axis, right? So we need to go from the origin where we start. So we start at the origin, we go over 1, 2. So we go to where it is -2. But then we need to know where it is on the y-axis. And we see that this is -3. So we need to go down, because that's where y is negative. So we go 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to put our point right there. So according to point A, right, it's telling us on the x-axis, it's -2. And on the y, it's -3. So we get to this point right here, and that's our A. So we did this one. Now point B. It shows us as 1, 4. So our x is going to be positive. So we start at the origin, and let's go over 1, because that's where it is on the x-axis. Now let's look at the y. It's 4, so we need to go up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that's our B. So we did that one. Now let's look at point C. So we see point C has a positive x and -y. So let's go ahead and go over 3 on the x-axis. Then we need to go down 2 because it's negative on the y. So we end up right there. So we have our C. And then D. It's -4 and 2. So on the x-axis, we need to go over 4 because we're going to the left because that's where it's negative. And then we need to go up 2 because it's positive y, which is 2. So we need to go up 2. And that's our D. So here we have plotted all our points. Now let's go ahead and look at another example. Example 2. Give the coordinate of the given point in the graph below. So we have all these different points and we need to find the coordinates. So the coordinates are going to be in terms of, right, x and y. So that's what it's going to look like. So it's opposite of what we did in the last example. So A, let's look at what A is. Well, A is positive x and positive y. So when we look at the x-axis, we go from the origin, and we go over 1, 2, 3. So it is on the x-axis where 3 is for x. Then where we look on the y-axis, we have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so it coordinates with a 4. And both are positive because we're going to the right and up from the origin. Now, let's look at B. Well, B is to the left on the x-axis, so it means we're going negative, and then it's at negative 6 right here. So we have negative 6, and then we go up 1, 2, 3. So our y is 3. Now let's look at C. C is over here. So when we see it's going positive on the x-axis, where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it goes down 1, 2, 3. So it's negative 3 for the y. Now let's look at D. So we start at the origin. And since we're going to the left for the x-axis, it's going to be negative 3, because it's negative 3. Then we have to go down 1, 2. So on our y-axis, it's negative 2. So those are the coordinates for the given points.